Welcome back to Pivot Point of View. I'm Dustin Millsap along with Becky Pearson, and everybody is on the road right now. It's the summer run, it's here. We've been following the rodeos closely at Calgary, Reno, and man, just lots of really incredible stuff happening, records being broken, and they're just great rodeos to watch. And huge shout out to the Cowboy Channel for making that possible. It's just really awesome to follow along and be able to see people that you know and don't know compete. Um, Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the effects of hauling in the summer and just in the rodeo trail in general on how it affects your horse, how it affects you, and maybe give you some tips on what you can do during your big haul to help you and your horse recover and stay healthy. So, Becky, what are some of the things that you've seen work for people that are on the road and they're rodeoing hard? What are some of the things that people can do on the road to help them and their horse recover, starting with their horse?
I think hauling is one of the biggest challenges of going down the road. I mean, it's you can be so prepared or think that you're so prepared, and then some little things with the fatigue and dehydration and muscle soreness can really just send even the nicest horses back home. And so I think it's really important for us to think about, okay, we're going to travel. What are we going to do beforehand and during and after? And so, like for us, it's a matter of starting electrolytes before, like days before we ever go, to make sure they're drinking really well, they're very hydrated. Um, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on the expensive tube electrolytes. Those are super convenient, and we do have some of those. But I get the cheap electrolytes from like Tractor Supply and then mix it with water and draw it up in a dosing syringe, and that's what we use. And so it makes it a little more cost effective for treating a lot of horses with electrolytes before you get on the road. And then, like as you're hauling, just frequent stops if you're on a long haul, getting them out, letting them rest, let them walk around, drink some water, and just keeping an eye on them. Are they cleaning up the hay in front of them? Make sure you have food in front of them all the time, because the other big part of hauling that we've talked about a lot on here is ulcer prevention. That, if they are expected to stand there for long periods of time without any food in front of them, that stomach acid is going to increase, and it's going to make it way more stressful on the horse beforehand. And so, starting something, again, some kind of a product, there's a ton of products out there for ulcer prevention. Starting them on that before they ever get on the trailer to help to ward off any digestive issues from hauling. How about you guys? What do you do to help ward off those things?
Well, I think the keys that you mentioned there are everything is stressful. Like when you're on the road, it's stressful for you, it's stressful for your horse. So anything that you can do to help manage that stress for both of you is kind of where it starts for me. And, gut health is a huge part of that. You mentioned that with the ulcers. Gut health is a huge part of that, and maybe even a starting point. Hydration, obviously, and especially if you have a horse that doesn't drink well on the road, having a good plan there, like in order to help them want to drink and making sure that they're plenty hydrated before, whether that's, I mean, I've heard of people even like horses will only drink the water that they have at their house. And so they have tanks that they take with them, which also for barrel husbands is very handy because you don't have to carry water when your wife parks 6 miles away from the water hydrant. So highly recommend a water tank that you can take with you. There's both the ways you can do that. Um, and then just, there's some things that we always take with us if, we're going to haul somewhere, and whether it's some sort of anti-inflammatories, Banamine, things like that for if, you know, that situation where if they colic or something on the road, you have something to help you there. But we also use a couple products um, for the gut, like papaya. We use Formula 1 papaya, and then some other different things to help with the stress of it. And we use the pretty generic electrolyte stuff, just like you said.
Mhm.
Nothing fancy there. So the main thing is just making sure that they have access to it, and you're doing what you can to help them. If you were to make a kit for leaving home and going on the road, what are some of the things that you would put in that kit, Becky?
Well, some of the things, definitely some electrolytes. And the electrolytes, the better they are at having electrolytes, the less picky they are about the water. I find that just like you and I, if we go and we have a salty meal, man, we can't get, I mean, like we aren't snubbing our nose at water. We're looking for as much water as we can. So that's one way to kind of get around that pickiness in the waters, make sure they have the electrolytes. But so the electrolytes, I would also make sure that I pack the Banamine, the Equiox, your emergency vet kit kind of stuff. We always have Lasix on hand, and this time of year when it is so hot, they're going to be more likely to bleed because it's harder on their body. And so we also carry a nebulizer, and we usually will nebulize albuterol in that. If they are having a really hard time recovering, that'll help open up their airways. There's even certain times of the year, like when the grass comes on, and some grasses will actually affect their breathing quite a bit. We've had a few horses. It was years ago that I had this problem, and then it kind of came up again this year. So some of the mold spores on the grasses can really create a difficult breathing situation for some of the horses. And so having access to a nebulizer, if you do, make sure you have it along. If you don't, you can have like an albuterol syrup or something like that that can also help open those airways. And so kind of some emergency type stuff like that. I also like rehab wise, I love having some rock tape on hand, kinesio tape. Man, you can use that on yourself, your horse. If you get, bruised, you get kicked, something like that, you get stepped on, Lord knows, you get bucked off, and you can tape that bruise up, and that will really help alleviate a lot of that pain and help prevent a hematoma. Um, I like the Assisi loops. So like let's say you don't have a PEMF machine, the Assisi loop is a battery, like it's a disposable item that you can keep on hand. That'll help with some joint pain. So let's say you have a horse that has some hock issues or some knee pain, and you are going to be doing a long haul and you worry about that. You could tape on that Assisi loop in the trailer, and you could just run like a 15-minute treatment while you're going down the road on it. I mean, it really is so portable. So that's one that I love. I love the microcurrent unit for some soft tissue injuries. And then just good old ice packs. Ice packs, muscle rub, your mud, your cooling clays, those kinds of things. You just can't beat it when it's hot. I love the cooling clays. Probably one of my favorite cooling clays is from CEP. I love how it's very effective. It does wash off easily. It has some great stuff in it for oils and stuff. I also do like there's another product out there, and I just am drawing a blank that it's a really good cooling clay too. So those are great for this time of year instead of having the back on tracks because they get really hot. And so we know there are research studies out there that says when the tendon temperatures get above X amount, I don't remember what it is, but when the tendons get hot, they are more likely to be damaged from that heat on a cellular level. And so you have to balance out, yes, the tendons and the muscles and everything need to be warm before you compete, but they can't get too hot. So you really have to make sure you're balancing that out this time of year.
So what about some of the leg wraps and cloud shoes and things like that that you would use for hauling them on long hauls in the trailer? What would you
Yeah.
suggest for that there then?
Yeah, so we do the cloud boots and stuff. Again, you kind of got to watch the heat. And you can use I have had some friends do back on track this time of year, but they wet them down. And so, but then you'd have to re-wet them if you're traveling quite a long ways. And then it ends up getting hot. So you just have to make sure you're feeling that leg, you're watching for any, increase in swelling. Honestly, like if your horse doesn't have a ton of issues, you'd really be better off doing like a cooling clay on their legs for traveling more so than like a back on track type of thing. If they're stocking up, both the cooling clay and the back on tracks can help with that, but I do worry a little bit about the back on tracks this time of year when it is so hot. Hmm.
Yes, we like to use our like magnet sheets. So we have one from PHT, and I think the other one's from Accelerate. We'll wet those down
Hmm.
after we put it on them and put them in the trailer, and that actually seems to help keep them cool on the trailer ride. And of course, making sure that they have proper ventilation in the trailer as well. One thing that I've heard of people doing is some people have access to Equivibes, whether they take it with them or they have it built into their trailer. I think those are a really cool deal to be able to have access to for helping the horses recover in their legs and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot out there that you can do to help these horses. I know one of the biggest challenges for on the human side of things is diet and staying hydrated yourself. What are some strategies that you would suggest for people on the road so they don't, so they're putting the right stuff in their body? Because I can tell you, I can only eat so many gas station burritos
Hmm.
before I start to notice that I'm like not very good anymore. I mean, and especially, I mean, just even work wise, like when I'm in my busy season and I'm covering a lot of games and tournaments and I'm going pretty hard, I try to be careful about where I go and trying to plan ahead and stuff. You can't always do that, and so I really start to notice how much that type of stuff can take a toll on me. So what are some strategies that you would suggest or places maybe that have maybe some better food quality or something like that that people could use?
Yeah, that's a huge, huge thing for me. And I've really been working hard the last few years of trying to plan ahead and meal prep. And we're fortunate enough to have a living quarters that has a fridge in it. But if you don't, you can pack a cooler. And you do so much better if you have that stuff ahead of time. Like meals that I like to prep honestly, it's really pretty easy meal. Like I will saute a bunch of tomatoes and then I'll throw in eggs. I'll do scrambled eggs with tomatoes and just salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, and I'll put that in a big container in the fridge, and you can eat it hot or cold. So, like a lot of people will do like breakfast burritos, but then I don't really care for the tortilla, and it gets kind of soggy. But I like doing the eggs and tomatoes. I love it, and you could top it with salsa, whatever. It's pretty easy. Um, that's one of my favorite. We always do like a chicken salad, like a chicken breast cut up with celery, grapes, onion, and some mayo. And it goes great either on a sandwich, in a tortilla, or just plain. Or you can put it on lettuce. Is like super easy. We do like a 5 bean salad, like it's such an easy thing and I can just have it in a bowl in the fridge. So having those things, easy access to it, so that when you stop and your horse is resting, you can just go in and you can grab some of that stuff and you're eating it instead of eating the shit at the gas station. And it is nice though now, I will have to say, like a lot of convenience stores are making better choices available to people. And so there's usually like I don't know, I think about like Love's or a Mavericks. Like you can walk in and they have a section where, there's like a vegetable tray available. There's more keto friendly type snacks. There's pickles. There's, like fruits and vegetables, yogurt parfaits. Like all those things are really so much healthier than grabbing the candy bar, the chips, or like you said, the gas station burrito, the gut bomb there that you get. So, um, I think the biggest things are, try to make the best choice you can. And it is hard. Like sometimes it used to drive my family nuts because I had such a hard time making up my mind. And sometimes it's not that I don't know what I want, but my mind says that I want the healthy stuff. And then I'm like, yeah, but I'm craving the garbage. So I'm in this inner battle of, do I do the right thing or do I just slip and do the wrong thing, and get that Krispy Kreme donut at the at the gas station. And I try not to. So not perfect, but it's a process. And like I said, if you try to plan ahead of time. I think that is key for you, and making sure that you're putting good stuff in the trailer at least, so that, or pickup and trailer, so that you at least have those as options to help you out. And the other thing, like snacking when you're driving, like when I get tired, um, some of the easiest things for me to eat are sunflower seeds, because even though they make a mess, I try to like get an old cup to, spit my shells into. But boy, that'll sure keep you awake. And sunflower seeds are good for you. Yes, there's probably a lot of sodium in them. But like pumpkin seeds are great to snack on. Even popcorn is not bad, if you don't get it loaded with butter, but those are some of your better snacks when you're driving versus, chips and candy bars and things like that. But fatigue when you're driving is way serious too.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good things about pumpkin seeds and just anything to make sure that you're getting the right amount of protein to help your muscles recover, staying hydrated, trying to make good decisions there. And it's progress, not perfection, right? Um, so basically when people are on the road, you're obviously in season. And so what are some of the things on off days that you could do for your horse to keep them tuned up, in shape, but also ready for the rodeo?
Yeah, I think, the biggest things are, if you can do some stretches for you and your horse, have a little stretching routine. And honestly, it'll also keep you in tune to what's going on with them. Because if you do stretch them on a regular basis and you kind of know what their baseline is, and then you get on the road and all of a sudden they don't want you to pick up their right hind leg, then you can be like, maybe that slip at the last run, when I was going into third barrel, that was more of an issue than what I realized. You're going to notice little things with them, and you're going to ward off probably some more major issues when you get down the road. Um, Also, like watching them, taking them to an arena and just letting them roll and play and watch them how they do that. If they're a normal roller and they aren't, they kind of quit rolling, you can also guess that something's going on with them, and so you can sure hit them with some anti-inflammatories, pain meds to help ease any discomfort that they're having from that stuff. But, just obviously, your horse and spending time with your horse. And so that's going to be a huge, huge thing. And just getting on and doing some slow collection, flexing, just letting them chill out a little bit is going to be very well received from their standpoint as well. And I always say too, like, have your warm up routine at your event and you're like, if you do have an off day, have it be very similar to what they're used to at home, because horses don't like surprises. They don't like surprise parties. And so if, we're changing so many things when we're hauling, the environment, and just, maybe they're a pasture horse and then they're always in a stall. But if when you go to, you're feeding the same feed, you're feeding at the same times, and if that part of it is all very routine and similar, that's going to help them. And then same thing when you step up in that stirrup, if you go right back to the same routine that they're used to when you get on at home, then that's going to help them relax and be more at ease on the road. Like my routine when I get on is I always laterally flex each way. We walk off, we do some one rein stops each way at a walk, a trot, and so I have my routine that I get them into. And so it is amazing to me, like when I didn't do that and when I first started that at an event, instead of just riding off and loping mindless circles like everybody else, how much better that brought the anxiety down on those horses that were really um just nervous horses. Like once I did exactly what I did at home, they were way more relaxed because they knew it wasn't, everything wasn't new. They were at a new place, but we were doing the exact same thing.
I think it's difficult, especially if you got a new horse and you're hauling them for the first time, knowing their language and the way that they tell you, "Hey, I'm not feeling great today," or "I'm sore." And so we've always stressed the importance of palpating your horse, trying to, feel on them, see where they're sore. And obviously, you got to have a little bit of feel for that because if you push hard enough in any area, obviously you're going to make them react in a way that appears like soreness. So, I mean, you got to kind of have some feel there. But um, and then riding them and getting to know them and knowing how they want to flex and if they and being able to feel if they feel stiff one way versus the other and if you can feel that stuff on the horses that you have and you go to try another one, then you'll be able to feel it on them and be like, "Man, this horse he just doesn't quite feel just right to me. He's stiff this way or whatever. I wonder if there's something going on." And then of course that's when that handy dandy vet check comes in when you're in your pre-purchase. But I think that you can't spend enough time with your animal if you're a time event person or whatever it is that you're doing involving your horse to be able to know if they're feeling good throughout the week and try to address those things quickly before they become major issues. I know that recently uh, my horse was just not quite right in the box and not herself in the box, and I didn't like how she felt there. She was a little bit front endy and just not wanting to get on her butt and take a hold of those steers and just some subtle things like that that I'm like, man, she's just really not herself. So I felt on her and she was sore on her left side, which I'd expected, and shocker that I'm sore on my left side when I get off her. So it's funny how those things can run together too. But anyway, sore on her left side. I could tell that she was locked up and maybe sore in some other areas. And so I did a little bit of soft tissue work on her, just, so just some general stuff that I take from working on the people side of things. And it's my own horse. I'm not trying to do that on somebody else's. But anyway, on my own, I just tried to do some simple things to release some muscles and try to get her feeling better. And then immediately called one of my people that I have work on our animals, and we always have multiple because you never know who's going to be available or what you're going to exactly need, and everybody has their own strengths there. So we're going to a barrel race. I called my friend that works on horses, and he was headed there anyway. So he met us there, worked on her, worked on my young horse, who also just was really stiff to the right, wasn't wanting to get his head very good, and and honestly just kind of felt a little bit flighty in his right lead. And like if he stepped wrong, he kind of grabbed himself a little bit, which wasn't him at all. And so being able to get him worked on, he felt so much better the next time I got on him. My mare felt great in the corner. She was solid. She was wanting to use her butt again. And so I think it's important to identify those things early because if you don't, then say they're out in their back or their hips then that puts pressure on down the chain into their stifles and hogs, and then you all of a sudden have a hog or stifle issue when maybe it could have been prevented and caught earlier. You never know. Obviously, there's anything that can happen, and acute injuries definitely do happen, but being able to stay ahead of that, especially during a busy hauling season, is so important.
For sure. Yeah. And just, getting to know your horse, even if it's a new horse, start stretching it. I really feel like the leg stretches and the baited carrot stretches side to side, like you can honestly prevent a lot of things through that. Like if you start noticing that they're a little bit off, start there. Start with the stretches, and see if you can help them through that. The other thing that I'm seeing as I'm treating horses right now, and honestly, even in my own horses, this time of year when the heat comes on, if you have a horse that is prone to have EPM or can be exposed or has been exposed to EPM, they can have EPM flare-ups in this heat. Heat is really hard on EPM horses. And so, like, I looked at a horse on Monday that the trainer was like, just doesn't feel right. Tell me what you think when you watch it walk. And boy, sure enough, he had positive neurological tests, like no tone in his tail. I could just easily pull him off balance when we walked. And so, we talked about probably needed to visit with the vet, maybe get some titers pulled on it. And see about just getting it in treatment. Had dropped a lot of weight, had, the top line really went to heck. And that's the like earlier, it was about a month ago. Same thing last year. My horse Big had a flare up of EPM when it got really hot. And boy, about a month ago, he started dropping his top line, and I got right on top of that. I called my vet and I said, hey, I think I need to treat him for EPM again before this gets out of control. He was awesome. He just drop shipped me the EPM meds that we use. And so just really be cognizant of that. It could really flare up. The flies are getting bad right now, so they're stomping flies terrible. Just that in the heat, I think can really, really stress these horses out, even if they're not on the road. Like your mares and your brood mares in your pasture, a lot of time will really start to drop weight this time of year because they're fighting flies so bad. So just those are some things that we love. I love the heat more than the cold, but it's hard on them too. And so we just have to make sure that we're managing all of these aspects throughout the season.
I think the big thing that you mentioned that we've mentioned multiple times in this episode is stress. And so the stress of hauling, the stress of the heat, the stress of potential soreness and injury, that all stress is what brings that PPM type stuff on. It seems like the most is when they're under stress and their immune system is compromised or weakened. And man, it'll just really try to take a hold of those horses who are run down. And again, if you have heat, soreness, or an injury, especially, and then the stress of hauling and running and all that stuff, I mean, it's just a recipe for them to be at risk for those things. And so, definitely paying attention to all that and educating yourself on it is so important. And most people, especially down here, it seems like when I moved to Oklahoma, it became more of a common thing to see that type of parasitic type stuff. And so, you're right. The one of the main things that I see is their coat goes dull and they drop weight and their top line will really struggle. So, you know, just a really good point to make there about the EPM.
Yeah. And, I think it's just one of the biggest ways that I think we can prevent that is the more I study gut health, whether it's in people or horses, the better we can keep their guts in good shape, meaning good probiotic, good, prebiotic, good, um, balanced, well balanced feed sources. the better their immune system is going to be, the better their weight management is going to be. Same thing in people. I tell you what, Destry, I've been looking a lot into the benefits of these fermented foods and just making sure that you have all those good um, probiotics in your digestive system. And I really feel like that is one of the biggest keys in keeping our horse and ourselves in a great place digestively. So, kind of been doing a little experimentation with that myself, along with the Mediterranean diet. And as I'm gonna have to, I just wanted to hug Gracie last night. She goes, "Mom, I was watching you ride tonight," and she goes, and a video popped up on Facebook or something, like a video of you riding a year ago. And she goes, "You look so much stronger and you don't look as flabby." And I'm like,
Oh, well, thanks.
"Woo." So, bless her heart for she's like, I don't mean to be rude, like to say that you looked awful a year ago, but I feel so much better right now. I feel like no, the scale doesn't show it. Like I'm probably the same weight, but my clothes are fitting looser. I feel less flabby. And a big part of that is, I have changed my diet due to those wonderful blood tests that I took. But I think a lot of that is really trying to get just that good gut health. I'm not really dieting per se, but I'm just trying to make sure that what I'm putting in my body is more whole foods, not processed, and really making sure that I'm getting the good bacteria in my digestive system that I need to help digest this food.
Well, since you mentioned that, I've been looking into that stuff as well for myself. I mean, gut health is everything for your energy levels, for inflammation in your joints, for so many things. And so I know that June was a pretty busy month for me. And man, I was just drained, honestly. I mean, it was a great month and so much happened, but the stress of running around doing all the stuff I was doing and also not really paying attention to where food came from or eating at any type of regular time, it really destroyed my gut health. And so being able to get that back on track is kind of the first step in recovering from a busy time like that for me. So I've been looking into different ways that I can do that and maximize it. So stay tuned. If I find something that really works, I'd be happy to share it with people. I've done multiple things at this point. So yeah, just excited to see how that works. But one of the things that I really notice is just cognition, and especially like if you're younger, and especially if you're in your 20s, you don't notice it as much.
Mhm.
But man, once you get past a certain age, your gut health and how it affects your energy levels and your mind and all of those things really starts to play a factor. And so, um, first you got to fix your gut. And one of the other signs that I know when my gut is not right is my knee will hurt or my shoulder will be sore. It's kind of something places that I've had issues before, my back or whatever. That type of stuff will start to flare up when I know that I'm got too much inflammation in my gut or in my diet in general. So, yeah, just some stuff to pay attention to. Healthy gut is everything. I just actually talked to somebody about that today.
Mhm.
So, and we're all on the journey, and what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other. And another thing, real quick, that um, I've found is I've been doing a little bit of diving into eating right for your blood type, and there's actually an app out there called Eat Right, the number four, your blood type, and it'll give you a list of foods that are beneficial, neutral, and negative to whatever your blood type is. There's a little bit of information out there. Maybe it's hocus pocus, maybe it's not. Basically, it said don't eat anything that you like. So, besides like the protein side of it, I'm an O blood type, so we're very protein, meat heavy type of a blood type, and so some of the other stuff that I saw on there was really sad that it was in the red. And even some of the types of meats that were in the red was kind of discouraging. But at least steak is still in the green, and so can always eat beef. That's what's for dinner.
Okay.
So, um, so yeah, there's lots of different resources out there, and that just goes to show you that it's not the same for everybody else. I mean, whether it's your blood type or uh, God knows what all else is out there. There's so much information out there, and just trying to dial it all in, and then be consistent enough for it to work and feel a difference. I've told the story before. I used to have terrible allergies. I just sniffled all the time and couldn't figure it out. I was taking like Zyrtec and Claritin and all this stuff with like it's taking it daily, and it can't be good for you. I mean, it just can't. And
Yeah.
then I, started seeing some stuff and had some family members talk to me about some stuff that they had done, and just decided to go dairy free randomly, and it killed me because I love cheese and ranch and all that good stuff. But man, I went dairy free for like the first 30 days. I noticed a huge difference, dropped weight, stuff quit hurting, um, and I barely so much as sniffle anymore. And then was able to slowly reintroduce dairy, but still know that like dairy and beer will stuff me up. My wife knows that uh, I will snore. I've had those things, just FYI. But anyway, so you can really kind of gauge your body on what it likes, what it doesn't like, based on how you respond after you have it.
It's interesting that you bring that up about basically dairy and wheat, and because when Gracie was a kindergartner, she had a headache that just would not go away, and even manual therapy. We got her eyes tested. We treated her for sinus infection. Like nothing was taking this away, and finally, a family member brought up that they kind of ended up getting the same kind of thing, and she mentioned. To eliminate dairy. And so we did. So, Gracie's, and then we did a blood test, and sure enough, she was allergic to dairy and or cow's milk and wheat. And so, and she's in kindergarten. And so, what do kids eat? Everything has dairy and wheat in it, and so I'm like, what am I going to feed this kid at this age? Um, but it was interesting. We'd take her off of the dairy and she loved cheese. And it was surprising. Like she'd go and she'd eat a piece of cheese and then she'd be like, oh, mom, I think I'm getting a cold. Like she would say this like an hour later. I think I'm getting a cold because my nose is all stuffed up. And the first time she did it, I'm like, and then it never, like would turn into a cold. And then the next time it happened, I'm like, Gracie, I think it's the cheese that you ate caused your nose to start, like it caused your airways to restrict. And so, we did some allergy elimination technique stuff with acupuncture with her, which was very helpful. So if you are struggling with some pretty severe allergies and food allergies, I encourage you to look at the NATE. Um, it's a Nabotropod's allergy elimination technique. So NAET. I think they have a website with all the practitioners out there. We had one that was about an hour away from us that did it, and it really did help her with her allergies quite a bit. So something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably crushing everybody's dreams at this point with the diet talk. I mean, sorry, yeah, cheese that comes with information, but it's different for every person, and not everybody processes stuff the same. And so, if you've tried everything else and it hasn't worked, maybe this is something you look into, whether it be the gluten or the dairy, figuring out what your blood type is, seeing what things get along with you, what don't, maybe in that aspect, just a different approach. If you're having trouble figuring out where stuff is, good news, tequila is actually on the green list if you get the right kind. So I know that it has a barrel rate, so that's probably great news. But anyway, yeah, a lot of the diet stuff can just be so depressing to talk about because it's like, oh, cool, we have all this stuff that we would like to have, and it's in the red. But again, progress, not perfection. Don't torture yourself if you don't have to. But yeah, if you want change, though, it's gonna be hard. I'm just gonna tell you.
Yeah. Yep, it is. But feeling like crap is hard too. So pick your heart,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Pick your hard for sure.
Yep. So are you covering high school finals this year?
No, I'm not going up there this year, and I had some stuff going on that week, and it's my wife's birthday week, and just I don't know, multiple conflicts there, and so I will not be making it to the high school finals. Unfortunately, it's the first time in like 5 years that I haven't been there, so really sad. And because we have some of our pivot point athletes that'll be there, and they've been working hard, and so it kills me to not be there, but yeah, not this year.
Yep. We wish everybody great success at Rock Springs at high school finals. I am going to be headed to Barrel Bash in Lincoln. We're really happy that Renee brought that back to Nebraska, Lincoln, and should be fun. I have a booth set up, so I'll be working on people and horses. If you're interested in getting signed up, I do have a Facebook post that has a schedule that you can just fill in where you want to be. And yeah, so excited about that. I'm going to take the cold plunge down there too, because my guess is it's going to be hot. So hopefully we can help out some people and horses down there. And then I've also, one other thing that's been kind of interesting, I've been working on various animals. I've done pigs, I've done show calves, show steers, I've done sheep, and then horses. So it's been, it should be maybe pivot point livestock therapy. Livestock and rider therapy. So and people. So it was really fun. On Monday this week, I worked on four horses, three pigs, four cattle, and a sheep, and
Yeah,
two people.
yeah. Pivot Point 2.0. Work on your Pivot Point Livestock 2.0. Get
Yeah.
your sheep and your show person worked on.
Yep.
We're here to
Yep.
help
And
everybody. We're just here to
yeah,
help. Okay, we'll help
yeah.
whoever needs it.
The joint mobs on the sheep's back and the steer's back, and so
Awesome.
um, yeah, it's been kind of fun. So it just kind of keeps every day interesting for me.
Yeah, I've got some continuing education that I've been diving into on the overhead athlete, and so I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I've been working on some baseball players as well. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff going on, and always just trying to get better and learn more things to be able to help people.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And I take my first test for my equine dry needling course this week. So w- going through that process. So hopefully I can get through that as quick as possible. I'm excited to add that to my repertoire.
Yeah,
So
that'll be great. Yeah, definitely keep us posted on that.
mm, for sure.
And if you don't know what dry needling is or you have questions about it, we did do an episode last week about dry needling. So go look at that episode and learn about it and to see if it's for you or your horse. And we also talked about the difference between dry needling and acupuncture on there. So go back and look at last week's episode on dry needling if you have questions about that, or feel free to reach out to us.
Absolutely. Well, I
So
don't think I have anything else. And how about you?
one last thing is we talk about stretching ourselves and stretching our horses. We do on our membership course have horse stretches and mobility programs. It says $30 on the website. We got it down to 10 now. So $10 a month, you have access to multiple mobility programs for you and your horse, and also take it along with your own workout program. So if you have any interest in that, it's under our courses, under the rider membership, and it says 30 on there. It's actually $10 right now, and and we'd be happy to help you get started if you have questions. So,
Absolutely.
all right, well, I'll close this out, and thank you guys for listening, and as always, thank you for your support. If you would like and subscribe to help us reach more people, if you like what you're hearing, we greatly appreciate that. And as always, let your health be the pivot point to your success.